Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple question. Why do some nations rise against all odds while others, with far greater resources, often fail to inspire the same respect? The answer lies not in size, not in wealth, but in vision, courage, and the will of the people. Today, I want to take you on a journey not of statistics or dry history, but of transformation, resilience, and the kind of fear that power feels when it sees true potential emerging right next to it. We are going to talk about Pakistan, a nation often underestimated, and about why Modi, despite leading one of the largest countries in the world, cannot ignore its rise. This is not just a story of politics, it is a story of geography shaping destiny, of youth driving innovation, of leadership awakening a nation's confidence, and of alliances that redraw the map of influence in Asia. When you understand this story, you will see why the future of South Asia, and in many ways the future of global trade and stability, cannot be written without Pakistan at the center. So I invite you to listen carefully, to keep an open mind, and to stay with me until the end, because what you will discover is bigger than just rivalry between two neighbors. It is about how a country can transform its challenges into strengths, and how the fear of one leader reveals the hidden power of another nation. This is why Modi fears a stronger Pakistan. The changing power dynamics of South Asia have become one of the most significant developments in recent years. And at the heart of this shift lies Pakistan's evolving role on the global stage. For decades, India has positioned itself as the dominant force in the region, projecting both economic and political influence across its neighbors. But the ground beneath this traditional dominance is moving, and that change is not only being noticed in South Asia, but also across Europe and the wider world. Pakistan, long underestimated, is beginning to leverage its strategic location, demographic potential, and international partnerships in ways that are redefining the regional balance of power. Geography has always been destiny for Pakistan, but today that geography carries even greater value. Positioned at the crossroads of Central Asia, the Middle East, and the Indian Ocean, Pakistan offers direct access to vital energy and trade routes. This location is no longer just a point on the map. It is a living bridge between East and West. Europe, in particular, sees Pakistan as a potential connector for supply chains, energy projects, and digital markets that can reduce overdependence on traditional routes dominated by other global powers. India has often relied on its size to overshadow its neighbors, but the more Pakistan integrates into global connectivity projects, the more that dominance is challenged. Beyond geography, Pakistan is also reshaping its alliances by strengthening ties with China through the Belt and Road Initiative, engaging with Middle Eastern economies in trade and investment, and opening new dialogues with Russia and European nations. Pakistan is positioning itself as a key stakeholder in a multipolar world. This diplomatic diversification makes it harder for any single power, including India, to isolate or sideline Pakistan on the global stage. For Modi, who thrives on projecting India as the uncontested leader of South Asia, this growing influence is an unsettling reality. The shift is not only external, but also internal. Pakistan's growing emphasis on technology, youth entrepreneurship, and regional trade corridors reflects a vision that extends beyond survival and toward leadership. As Pakistan begins to play a more proactive role, whether in shaping energy routes, digital economies, or security frameworks, the traditional image of a South Asia dominated by India starts to fade. This is why the changing power dynamics are such a source of concern for Modi. Because the more Pakistan asserts itself as a confident and connected nation, the less India can dictate the future of the region. Pakistan's military strength and nuclear parity stand as central reasons behind the unease felt in New Delhi, particularly under Modi's leadership. For decades, India sought to establish unquestioned dominance in South Asia, often using its military size and economic weight as tools of influence. However, Pakistan's consistent investment in defense modernization and the credibility of its nuclear deterrence prevent India from exercising complete control. This balance of power has created a psychological barrier for Modi, who envisions India as a rising superpower, yet knows that any miscalculation with Pakistan carries consequences too great to ignore. The modernization of Pakistan's armed forces reflects more than just numbers and weaponry. It symbolizes resilience and strategic foresight. Over the years, Pakistan has adapted to evolving threats by upgrading air defense systems, strengthening naval capabilities, enhancing precision strike technologies. The professionalism of its military has been tested repeatedly, not only in conventional standoffs with India, but also in counterterrorism operations that have honed its readiness. Modi and his advisors are fully aware that a militarily confident Pakistan diminishes India's ability to impose unilateral decisions in the region. Every time tensions rise, this reality forces India to think twice before escalating beyond rhetoric. What makes the situation even more delicate is Pakistan's nuclear capability. Unlike other regional rivalries around the world, the presence of nuclear weapons in South Asia ensures that the balance of power cannot be tilted too far in one direction. Pakistan's credible minimum deterrence doctrine serves as a shield against conventional military coercion, compelling India to calculate risks carefully. This nuclear parity removes the possibility of India using overwhelming force without severe repercussions, something that frustrates Modi's ambition of displaying military superiority. For European observers, this balance of deterrence is a reminder that South Asia remains one of the most strategically sensitive regions in the world. The military dimension also ties into Pakistan's growing partnerships with global powers. Defense collaborations with China, intelligence sharing with allies, and participation in international security forums add another layer of strength. These relationships reinforce Pakistan's position as more than just a regional player, and they remind India that Pakistan cannot be underestimated or ignored. Modi fears that if Pakistan continues to strengthen both its conventional forces and nuclear posture, and the narrative of India as the sole security guarantor of South Asia collapses. This fear shapes much of India's policy toward Pakistan, as the balance of military power remains an unshakable obstacle to Indian dominance. Economic corridors and global connectivity have become the new battlegrounds of influence, and Pakistan's emergence in this sphere is one of the main reasons Modi feels unsettled. For decades, India sought to control the flow of trade in South Asia, positioning itself as the natural hub between East and West. However, Pakistan's role in projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is rewriting that map. With new highways, rail links, and deep sea ports, Pakistan is transforming from a country once seen as landlocked in its opportunities into a pivotal gateway connecting Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. This development challenges India's long-standing dream of being the region's sole engine of economic integration. The Gwadar port is perhaps the most striking example of this shift. Located at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, it provides Pakistan with access to some of the busiest maritime routes in the world. For China, it is a vital link to the Indian Ocean, bypassing longer and more vulnerable sea lanes. For Europe, it holds the promise of faster, safer access to Asian markets, For India, however, Gwadar is a direct challenge to its strategic ports and its hope of monopolizing trade corridors. The more Gwadar grows, the less dependent the world becomes on Indian routes, undermining Modi's leverage in regional commerce. CPEC also brings with it a network of energy pipelines, industrial zones, and digital highways. These projects are not simply about infrastructure, they are about economic influence. Pakistan, by connecting Central Asian states to global markets, positions itself as a key facilitator of international trade. This reduces India's ability to dictate terms to its neighbors and raises Pakistan's status as an indispensable partner for powers far beyond the region. Europe, looking for alternatives in supply chain security and energy access, increasingly views Pakistan's corridors as an opportunity to diversify dependence away from traditional choke points. What makes these economic shifts even more concerning for Modi is the long-term impact they promise. A stronger Pakistan, integrated into global trade networks, gains not only wealth but also political confidence. Economic independence translates into greater resilience against external pressure, making it harder for India to use its size as a tool of influence. For a leader like Modi, who relies on portraying India as the uncontested rising giant, Pakistan's economic corridors represent more than competition. They symbolize the erosion of India's monopoly on regional connectivity. The stronger these corridors become, the more India's traditional narrative of dominance loses credibility. And this is a reality Modi cannot ignore. Pakistan's rise in the field of youth and innovation is one of the most underestimated yet powerful factors that worry Modi about the future. Demographics are destiny, and Pakistan's youthful population offers a competitive advantage that India, despite its size, cannot afford to dismiss. More than 60% of Pakistan's citizens are under the age of 30, and this creates a pool of energy, creativity, and ambition unmatched in many regions of the world. Now, India also has a young population. Modi fears that Pakistan's younger generation is beginning to channel its potential into innovation, digital growth, and entrepreneurial ventures that could redefine the nation's global image. In recent years, Pakistan has seen a surge in startups, tech incubators, and digital services that are reshaping its economy. From fintech to e-commerce, from health tech to education platforms, young entrepreneurs are stepping into spaces once thought impossible for them to compete in. International investors have taken notice, with millions of dollars flowing into Pakistani startups and with global technology firms setting their eyes on this emerging market. This ecosystem signals a shift from dependency towards self-reliance, and that is precisely what unsettles Modi. A Pakistan that can build technology, export services, and create innovation-driven industries becomes less vulnerable to traditional forms of pressure and more capable of competing with India in areas where it once had no standing. The digital economy is another frontier where Pakistan's youth are leaving a mark. With widespread internet penetration, freelance platforms, and IT exports crossing record levels, Pakistan is becoming one of the largest freelance markets in the world. This not only brings in foreign exchange, but also builds a reputation for talent and skill. For Europe and other global players, this creates an attractive pool of human capital, further embedding Pakistan into international systems of innovation. Modi's concern lies in the fact that these advancements weaken India's ability to define South Asia as a backward region dependent solely on its leadership. Instead, Pakistan emerges as a country of ideas, energy, and talent, capable of shaping its own destiny. The cultural element of this useful transformation is equally significant. Young Pakistanis are increasingly global in mindset, fluent in technology, and open to collaboration across borders. This creates a new narrative of Pakistan, not of instability, but of opportunity. For Modi, the fear is not just about the present, but about the future. A Pakistan where its youth become the drivers of change, innovation, and influence, making it impossible for India to sustain its traditional image of superiority. Pakistan's diplomatic repositioning is one of the clearest signs that the regional balance of power is shifting. And it is also one of the reasons Modi feels increasingly insecure. For years, India has tried to frame the global narrative in a way that isolates Pakistan, portraying itself as the natural partner for Western powers while pushing Pakistan into the margins. Yet over the last decade, Pakistan has gradually reshaped its foreign policy, moving away from dependency on a single ally and instead building a diversified network of relationships with Middle Eastern states, China, Russia, and even Europe. This strategic repositioning has given Pakistan new relevance in the international arena and has weakened India's long-standing strategy of monopolizing regional influence. The Middle East plays a critical role in this shift. Pakistan's deepening ties with Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Turkey extend beyond labor markets and remittances. Increasingly, they involve strategic investments, energy cooperation, and defense partnerships. For India, which has also pursued strong ties in the Gulf, Pakistan's growing presence there is a direct challenge. The Gulf states recognize that Pakistan's strategic location and military capacity make it an indispensable partner in regional security, something Modi would prefer to keep under India's control. China, of course, is a central pillar of this repositioning. Through the Belt and Road Initiative and CPEC, Pakistan has aligned itself with one of the world's most ambitious connectivity and development projects. This partnership not only strengthens Pakistan's economy, but also ties it into a global power bloc that India views with suspicion. At the same time, Pakistan had opened channels with Russia, particularly in energy cooperation, signaling its willingness to explore partnerships outside of traditional alignments. For Modi, this diversification of alliances is a worrying trend because it prevents India from pushing Pakistan into international isolation. Europe's engagement with Pakistan further amplifies this concern. As Europe looks for new markets, supply chain routes, and energy partners, Pakistan's corridors and youthful workforce become appealing. This makes Pakistan not just a South Asian actor, but a bridge in global commerce. Modi's fear is rooted in the realization that the more Pakistan strengthens its diplomatic footprint, the less effective India's narrative of dominance becomes. Diplomatic repositioning is not just about foreign partnerships. It reflects a shift in Pakistan's confidence on the world stage. By moving from a reactive posture to a proactive one, Pakistan signals that it is ready to play a shaping role rather than a defensive one. For Modi, this evolution represents a profound challenge because it directly undermines his vision of India as the uncontested leader of South Asia. Leadership that resonates with the people is often more powerful than weapons, trade routes, or even diplomatic alliances. And this is exactly where Modi's deepest fear about Pakistan lies. India may have more resources, a larger economy, and greater international visibility, but what keeps Modi awake is the thought of a Pakistani leader who can inspire millions with hope, courage, and vision. Unlike rulers who govern through fear or bureaucracy, leaders who embody the voice of their people create a force that is difficult to suppress. This kind of leadership transforms a nation from within, building resilience that no external pressure can easily break. Imran Khan is at the center of this fear, regardless of political divisions. His ability to connect with ordinary Pakistanis, especially the youth, has given him a unique role in shaping national identity. He symbolizes defiance against external dominance and reflects a spirit of independence that resonates far beyond Pakistan's borders. For Modi, this represents a direct ideological threat. A Pakistan energized by such leadership becomes harder to weaken, harder to divide, and harder to isolate on the global stage. The image of a leader who is not only admired domestically, but also respected internationally undermines India's effort to frame Pakistan as unstable or directionless. This type of leadership is also contagious. When people see a figure who speaks their language, understands their struggles, and challenges global powers with confidence, they begin to believe in their own strength. Pakistan's youth, already its greatest asset, find motivation in leaders who show them that they do not have to live in the shadow of larger nations. Modi recognizes that this rising confidence, fueled by leadership that inspires rather than controls, will eventually erode India's ability to dominate the regional narrative. For Europe and other global audiences, such leadership is important because it signals stability and vision. A leader who mobilizes his people around development, sovereignty, and international cooperation makes Pakistan an attractive partner, not a liability. Modi's concern is that the more Pakistanis rally around such leadership, the more Pakistan will be able to project itself as a strong, confident, and globally connected nation. This strikes at the very core of India's strategy, which relies on portraying Pakistan as fragmented and weak. The truth is that when leadership resonates with the people, it turns potential into power. And it is this transformation that Modi fears the most. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have explored, the fear Modi holds toward a stronger Pakistan is not rooted in one single factor, but in a convergence of many. It is in the shifting power dynamics of South Asia, where Pakistan is no longer confined to the shadows of its neighbor. It is in the strength of its armed forces, and the balance of unilateral ambition can go unchecked. It is in the economic corridors and global connectivity that give Pakistan a new role in shaping international trade. It is in the rise of its youth and innovators who are redefining the nation's image and potential. It is in the diplomatic repositioning that makes Pakistan an indispensable player in the Middle East, Asia, and Europe. And finally, it is in the kind of leadership that touches the hearts of millions, a leadership that inspires resilience and unity, embodied most strongly in figures like Imran Khan. The truth is clear. Pakistan is not a nation to be dismissed or underestimated. It is a country with immense strategic importance, rich potential, and a people who are determined to define their own destiny. That is what Modi fears, and that is why the story of Pakistan is not just relevant to South Asia. So, as we close, let us remember, the strength of a nation does not come only from its size or its resources, but from the courage of its people, the vision of its leaders, and the opportunities it creates for the world. Pakistan stands today on that path, and the world is watching. I wish you all the very best. May you carry forward the lessons of resilience and vision in your own journeys. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and good luck to each one of you.